Hello everyone, and welcome to the Deeply Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deeply Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 326. Today is Sunday, July 26th, 327. Whatever. 2020. I don't know, too many sixes right now. As you do. So, recording a little bit, or would it be recording a day late, mostly because yesterday was my husband's virtual family reunion, which turned out fairly well. It involved s'mores indoors, so. and trying to do sing-alongs on Zoom. Best if you have the music and the main lyrics coming through on the same thing. But not too crazy. So, as a result, it was pretty late when I wrapped up, so I'm like, oh, whatever, I'll just record today. And then it was sort of the case where I was like, it had been my intention to get like just some like solid knitting time in. So that is what I ended up doing. Or that's what I ended up doing, sort of split between last night and this morning. So not too crazy. Let's see, what should we start with? I guess we can start here. So I have to laugh a little bit because I've realized I have been going sort of at this one pattern repeat per week cadence on this project for a while now. But now like things got a little wonky and I haven't yet taken the time to get it back on that level. I should do. But this is my Speckle Pop Leslie Ann Robinson pattern that I'm knitting out of mozzarella yarn, and that you can never get me down and you can never have enough socks. Which maybe if I hold in the light correctly will end up, whatever. It worked really well last week, but last week the lighting was very special. As you do. This week, who knows? So, I did end up rearranging my room, so the yarn background is not available. I'll have to figure out if I want to change that or not. The places where I would really like the yarn to live, it doesn't quite fit. So, what would it be? Or I'd like it to be on the same wall as a window, but it isn't always possible. So, we'll figure something out. But, what would it be? I guess I didn't weigh it, but last I weighed, I had 77 grams remaining, and I'm probably not too far off that, maybe, or I'm probably not too far off that at this point. So, definitely a nice, big, gorgeous, ridiculous shawl, as you do. I don't know, I'm pretty happy with, what would it be? Like, we have wingspan with tails at this point, so looking pretty good. Like I had pulled out my yarn and I was like, yes, this looks noticeably depleted from where it used to be. So that's good. So this will probably continue to get a decent amount of love, but in terms of repeats, I suppose it is time to move on. I think, yeah, it looks like I probably got less than a full repeat this week. But my repeats have been falling in weird places, so, as you do. So, Little Dolphin isn't going to move too much further. And that's fine. So, whatever. I did manage to get to a milestone, so that was good. So that was, or whatever, went across another full pattern repeat, so then this row was the beginning of the next one, or something like that, yeah. So I almost stopped on a full pattern repeat, but oh well. So this tends to live where I'm working, and that sort of thing. The other project that got a bit like carefully extracted. So the project that got a bit of love this week, which I think right now there isn't actually even a progress marker on this, but that's fine, is my Mesa sweater wrap restart. So you can see the lace. It is a teal color that's actually showing up on the screen correctly. Yay! And what would it be? It's just slowly but surely growing. So at this point, I just worked into the second repeat of, or whatever, I just started the second repeat of the chart on this. So hopefully things will be going fairly well on that. So what would it be? This is my test case for if I do want to rip out what I've done so far. So what would it be? Knowing what I know now. So the garter is just a little bit deeper on this side because teal is actually one of the bigger balls in here. And I'm actually going to do the full number of garter rows on the other side of the lace because I think that will make it look more balanced. And because I know my yarn usage and what the next color in the sequence is going to end up being, it meant that I could make this a little bit bigger and still have the yarn usage balanced appropriately. So should be good. Would it be? And in this case, I'm like reversing the color order from the first time, so it'd be the case where this is going teals to blues to purples, as opposed to sort of purples, blues to teals, and then back to purple again. It should be fine. So what would it be? So this guy is still where I left it, awkwardly on the needles, but you can maybe see what I mean about it, the lace being a little bit unbalanced. Maybe. I've been a little bit like allergy craziness lately. So it seems like if I do something that like disturbs dust, I'm like, sneezing right away, oh no. As you do. So, oh well. Or I'm not sure whether or not, like, because I've been like waking up with like gross eyes and like, am I allergic to eucalyptus? What's going on? But it'll probably work out. So, I'll make it work. But most of my time this week has been spent spinning. So I don't believe that I'd finished the singles yet on my Maiden's Wish spin, which counts for 50 bajillion different spin-alongs, for which I guess I haven't taken proper photos yet. But, maybe it's, I don't know, whatever. I did get the answer to why this was taking so long though. um, so, and I think I'm almost wearing this shawl to commemorate the nonsense, but I ended up spinning way finer than I thought I was. So I was expecting to get a 6-ply sport weight, but what I actually got was a 6-ply heavy fingering, because it ended up being like 4,680 yards of singles in 8 ounces, or in this case, I think this guy's actually 250 grams, which is a lot. And maybe when you think about it in terms of 250 grams, maybe that pushes it closer to the sport end of things, but so it took all week to ply, and I just kept thinking, oh wow, I'll be done tonight, and that just kept pushing out. So I finished the plying of the pair of singles yesterday. Then I wound it into a giant ball, and then I chain plied from the outside of that ball, because I figured it was going to be, that was going to give the singles that I just finished a little bit of time to rest before I launched into the nonsense. And so after 2 plying, then I chain plied that yarn. So spun the singles S twist, plied the singles together Z, and then plied it a second time with S twist. So what I ended up getting was sort of insane. So this is a 780 yard skein out of 250 grams. When I sat down and figured out what it would count as stash dash yardage, that's when it was super, super crazy, because I had plied it in a way that ended up, and that was what I intended as well, was to get the colors to mix in the 2-ply, and then to get those colors to lie on top of each other in the subsequent chain ply. And so what I ended up getting is a yarn that has like lots and lots of little blips of color. I'll try to find a way to get close enough. You can actually see. So it is, I don't know, that seemed to be coming out maybe a little bit more dull than what it is in real life, but whatever. So it's pretty crazy. I didn't take too many pictures of the process, because whatever. I took some pictures when I wound it into a ball, because it just looked really cool that way. But yeah, no, it's I know, there's just something about like a cable that almost makes the fiber itself look like it's armored. Sorry. So it just has this very round structure to it, and then you can just see these little lines of color popping in throughout. So there are places where the same color landed on itself, there are places where different colors landed on itself, but I think it synthesized into something that was very cool. I think I like it better in this form than I did simply as the 2-ply by itself, which is good because it's a lot of work. And it was definitely the case where I went to look up the ratios for the Lendrum, and so I wasn't too far off. It was physically taxing to apply this. But I don't know, I think I believe that I spun the yarn on the 7-to-1 ratio and then plied it on the 9-to-1, I believe, as you do. But it was just, it makes sense. It took about as long to do the first pass of plying as it did to spin the singles, because you were still going through that same amount of yarn. And there's definitely a decent amount of my hair in here, so oopsies. So I've been trying to pick it out as I find it, but there's just a lot of it. Now, because I finished this yesterday, you can sort of see, what would it be? It's just a nice, gentle little twist in this, so that made me feel good that I didn't savage it with all of this ridiculous amount of plying. But basically, so I had that length of singles, then I had half that distance for how much it took to ply it, and then you add on the final distance of the yarn itself, and so then that meant that the multiplier for the finished skein was 10. So 6 plies, 3 plies worth of, or whatever, the 6 plies of the yarn, half of that for the first round of plying, and then 1/6 of that, or 1/3 of that remaining bit for the final thing. So my finished skein length, then 3 times my finished skein length, then 6 times my finished skein length, which adds up to 10. And interestingly, it ended up being an even number in it ended up being an even number in yards and meters, so that was cool. So this was 7,800 yards through the orifice in the month of July. And that counted for 7,200 stash yards, which is sort of insane for a single skein of yarn to count for that much, but it's sort of an insane yarn, so this makes sense. And because I ended up getting heavy fingering, this will probably end up being used in a shawl of some sort, which will be knit in a fabric that hopefully highlights its cool sort of color shifting nature, as you do. So this is going to have sort of whatever medium color changes on top of some long color changes, stripe wise. Knowing what I know now, I probably should have counted how many color repeats were in, or how many repeats of that main color I had, and then done my fractal split to match that. So I feel a little bit like my fractal split wasn't actually split enough times to sort of lie nicely on the color repeats. Oh well, you live and you learn. And I definitely, what would it be? I sort of like how this ends up having regions that are the same and regions that are different. But I think I would have liked to have a little bit more fractal color collisions going on, though it was sort of a long repeat, so maybe it doesn't matter. But that would be something that I would think about in the future. It still needs to get washed, but what would it be? I feel like I ended up doing it justice. And I do not want to, or would it be? It would be the case where I know earlier this year I was talking about I need to give myself permission to spin thick. Like, apparently I didn't give myself permission to spin thick on this project. So, more photos to come. The colors are coming out much better on Instagram, as you do. And then I will end up posting this all over the place on Ravelry. Actually, I don't think I've even checked Ravelry today to see if people commented upon the insanity, which is this yarn. There's just what would it be? Though Dear Judith would not recommend chain plying anything because she thinks that's garbage. We all have our opinions. She's really against chain plying. But the thought process behind taking those colors, making sure that they mix together, and then what would it be? It was one thing to sort of have that one layer of color mixing. This sort of added that second layer, which resulted in something that's just like very interesting to look at. And I'm a little sad that the light does not properly I need to like block the light from the window for it to show. No, because it definitely doesn't look quite right when I have the full light of the window. It's so fascinating. That's sort of overexposed, but whatever. I bet it's making all sorts of crazy camera noises too. I probably need to set it up so that I have my laptop microphone picking up my sound and my webcam picking up my face, because it's a better webcam than what my computer has, so that you guys can't hear when the webcam picks up the sounds of the focus motor. Like, it's definitely the case where it's picking up something just because of proximity, because human ears cannot hear it unless it is on the little podcast episode. But I'm not going to fix that now. So, totally bonkers yarn. But what would it be? And definitely, like, you can, like, clip something with the skein I made. But really pretty compact for 8 ounces of fiber, too. So, it's a little bit more than 8 ounces. So, this counts for the July Feather Your Nest Challenge. Maybe feeling a little bit crazy because my next project's going to be a 6-ounce spin, but that should be a 3-ply fingering. A little bit less insane. I don't know. Insane's probably the wrong word. It will be less demanding and less demanding than this one. But I was going to grab that fire roller. Show you next week when it's actually a real project. Now, so Feather Nest Challenge, this is my Tour de Fleece spin for the Fun Onion group. The next project's also going to be that, but that'll be a Tour de Fail. So, the fun challenges continue all the way to November. So this was my ride to spin representing Great Britain, as you do. Maybe England. It was probably England. So Blueface Leicester, Silk, Terry Pratchett, all of that fun stuff. This is Mega Sail Fibers, so that counts as something. It's Feather Nest, already mentioned that. And then this is my final Spin the Bin. Had I been more on my game, I would have showed you guys the rest of it. But definitely the fastest I've ever completed a bin before. 2020, while it has been terrible. Lots of spinning. 2020 has been a very good year for spinning. As you know. Anything else? I think that's everything. So, should be gorgeous. This will probably end up getting put away for a while. But I definitely am thinking a little bit about what sort of thing I would like to knit with it. Even amongst the patterns I already own. But it is sort of cool to know that I could sub this into any, I could sub this into sort of any shawl pattern, I feel like, at this point. So, not too crazy. And that was a lot of spinning to fit in 1 month. Oh. So, there's that. What might end up back on the wheel, but maybe not, because I'm feeling a little bit like I need to take like a couple-day break from spinning, I think. Give my body some time to heal. But if I do spin before the 1st of August, it will be my Three Waters Farm fin. Yes, this is 100% fin that I am doing as the main color of the sweater spin that I'll be starting, or what would it be? So this is the main color of the sweater spin. My contrast color I will be starting in August, which is Nest. But if it does go on, it goes on. If it doesn't go on, that's fine. What would it be? I'm letting it be a longer term project, and that's cool. It wouldn't be my normal way, but it's more like filling in the gaps in between challenges. Not too crazy. That might count for like a fun onion challenge too, depending. Like last year, Susan closed all the Tour de Fleece threads at the end of Tour de Fleece instead of letting them persist happily through Tour de Fleece, Tour de Fail, and Tour de Fall. Because our eyes are bigger than our stomachs. But, oh well, that's gonna last me for quite some time. So so as I mentioned last week, I had participated in the SSK virtual market. Got most of the stuff in this week. Not sure where one of the things is. I will, whatever, check and make sure I have an invoice. I hope it worked out okay, but I also have evil plans of the future. So I ended up getting a tie-dye kit. This is a tulip one that I got on Amazon, probably for more dollars than is reasonable, but it is enough tie-dye to do 9 shirts. And so I've been sort of going through all my things and figuring out, okay, what stays, what goes. Because I can be ruthless. Like once and I had noticed I've been wearing a lot of my tie-dye t-shirts recently, and the last time, I don't know, my tie-dye t-shirts, I think there were a few around, like, I don't know. I definitely had like it must have been that I'd gotten like the spray on tie-dye stuff, and then I ended up maybe screwing up a little bit because I ended up wrapping them too tightly. But this is like the liquidy kind. So, so it'd be the case. I had all these tie-dye shirts. I took white t-shirts because, I don't know, like, making white t-shirts tie-dye just makes them so much more festive. So some of my favorite tie-dye shirts were getting like the holes in the armpits, and it was like, you know what? I don't have room in my dresser for you, and like, let's just go. So I have new tie-dye shirts, or whatever, new shirts that I want to tie-dye, or shirts that I've received since then. They're just super white, and I'd be much happier if they were blue. So I got the blue-green turquoise kit because I figured that was going to be more up my alley. Otherwise, it was rainbow. But the rainbow kit seemed much more expensive, so I know, I'm like a little bit, because it was like $30 for the kit, so I don't know, maybe this dye is expensive. Not sure. So the plan is to do some tie-dye at some point, hopefully soon. It didn't seem to work out this weekend. Whatever. Busy with family reunion stuff. But the Dear Sweet Level 1 put through an Amazon order, and I got some too. As you do. But that was not SSK Virtual Market, but this stuff is. So, I ended up getting some fun stuff to feed the drum carter. So this is BFL Teeswater locks from Spotted Circus Alpacas. I have a card and then I put it somewhere weird. Just covered. Whatever. So this is from Elizabeth of Spotted Circus, and so this one is BFL Teeswater, and this one is the same colorway. There we go. Hold them back here. This is the same colorway, but this is just Teeswater. So she has a Teeswater sheep, and she's gonna actually end up buying this guy. But really cool. So they're very, very long, and just really fun colors. So it's possible that I'll end up combining these two into like a single project. For some reason I thought I had bought two of these, but whatever. Double check myself, who knows. So it should be a lot of fun. It will probably be a little bit messy to work with them, because there is definitely some veg in here. This one's not too crazy, or maybe the veg is better integrated. But this one is interesting just because like the tips are much more like Teeswater, but then their insides are more BFL. So should be fun. I just thought that was going to be a nice little project to do. Now I'm a little bit sad because I really wanted to get her s'mores colorway, but I was a little bit too slow on the uptake, but I did end up getting 2 things from Rock and String. It's like, yeah, I was card jacked from the s'mores, and I was talking with the Dearsy Level 1 about it, and he's like, yeah, that's so awesome, I love that. Well, so, Rock and String Creations. So I ended up getting this 100% Rambouillet in the Mountain Twilight color. And I ended up getting this blend, which is 40% merino, 20% alpaca, 20% camel, 20% silk. And I just thought that this was just like crying out for a little bit of dye. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Would it be? What's cool about this is that it's actually like all natural. So it's going to be a lot of fun to do a little bit of dyeing with this guy, as you know, as you do. But super duper reasonable price on this guy for how many luxurious and lovely things are in it. So should be fun. You know me and the jewel tones. What's fun about this is that like the little pops of yellow in it. But like, so her self-striping ones, like, she has like a very literal and particular interpretation of colorways, and the s'mores one was so on point. Of chocolate, marshmallow, graham cracker, and fire. So, maybe some other day. I think I have a pre-approval for making socks with that. Oh, such is life. And then the last thing that I have to show you today is I ended up getting some hip strings. So this is 10 ounces of the buoy, which is their, I need to read the tag, so 37.5% BFL, 37.5% Shetland, and 25% Manx Lotan? Lotan? Manx Lotan? It seems to be the sort of thing that has the silent G. So this one is bay. And then I have spruce, beacon, urchin, sky, sea star, and brick. So, roughly speaking, like a little rainbow of fiber. And this might also end up being Drumcarter Adventures as well. Maybe I needed like a little bit more of this, but I don't know if it's a case where I'm going to I don't know if I want to do something where this one is incorporated into many, or if I want to take these and sort of mix them up a little bit. But I have an ounce of each of all these colors, and I have 4 ounces of this one. So, something cool, probably. Full of rainbow fibery goodness. Do I also have like a jewel tone rainbow? Yeah. Yeah, whatever. So that is from Jill and Nick at Hip Strings. And so I do really like them and think that they're very cool. So, not too crazy. And then I'm waiting on the yarn from Urban Girl. Who knows? So, mostly fiber. One skein of yarn. So, it wasn't as much damage as it wasn't as much damage as if I had actually gone to the market. But then I do have to laugh at myself a little bit because I've been like, spin down the fiber stick. And what I do, buy fiber. Whatever. So, yeah, no. So that ended up being 26 ounces. No, such is life. So, should all be interesting and cool things. I think when you think about like the creativity, that's sort of where it is at for me right now. Is like, oh, like this is where what direction my creativity is pointing me at the moment. And what is always very interesting when you begin to realize that something that you decided somewhat on a whim and then you just spend months finishing that thought. Months turning it into reality. Oh well, such is life. So, shouldn't be too crazy, but it was the case where I'm like, yay, cool stuff, woo. What would it be? And knowing that this year is a pretty hard year, it was sort of the case where I'm like, yeah, it feels good to support a bunch of makers and sort of having a forum and excuse to actually go out and look myself. Let's see. I don't think the fog ever left us today. Oh well. Is there other stuff I wanted to talk about? Make sure I got it all off of the floor around me. Yeah, no, I think that covers everything I wanted to do this week. So hopefully I will hop back on my usual Saturday recording schedule. Yeah, no, there is something. I'm not sure whether or not I'm gonna jump on that bandwagon or just idly play along, but one thing that was going on was so I've been taking part in the Spend 15 a Day like Friday night spinning session. And the organizer, Cheryl of the 1764 Shepherdess, is doing a camp Spend 15 a Day, maybe, next weekend. But what would it be? It'd be one thing like to participate in one of the challenges, but it was like, I guess I didn't buy a kit from her. But I did contribute to one of the ideas for her spinning challenge. So she's actually doing a sheep to sweater challenge, which is you spin 5 grams of fiber and then knit a itty bitty hand-sized sweater with it. And my contribution was that I recommended that she do like a People's Choice Award. So she'll have the first one to finish or basically she has like a little timestamp system. So one of them is how long does it take for you to do that on the e-spinner, on a wheel, and a spindle. So not too crazy. But like it sounds like a really fun thing to do, but then not quite participating. not sure what I'm gonna do. And then it has been the case where, oh, I'm finding more things to talk about. The other thing is, so I rearranged the room. So the bed stayed in the same place. It's diagonal to us. I'm in the corner of the room. See, the corner is here. But you can't tell because that actually is pretty clean looking. Window here, which is giving me some headaches due to lighting stuff. I'll have to I might have to figure out a better way. And then I have my table here, which has my ball winder and spindles and stuff like that. That used to be by the window. I moved it there. And drum carder, and then I have a lot of storage for some of my like various knitting related accoutrements. And then right over there is the stash. So the bed is on this wall, the stash is in whatever there. And then I have the door directly across from me, more or less. So the stash is perfectly in this spot, directly across the window. Not so sure if there's bleaching danger there or not. I may do another round of room rearranging in order to get it to work slightly better. I'm not sure. But one thing is, I'm sitting here and like I'm watching my computer and spinning and all that other fun stuff, and then there's the stash. I'm just looking at the stash, like, ooh, there's that. Ooh, there's that. Like, oh, like I'm looking out the window and looking at the fog and being like, I should make the fog hat. And so one of the things that I have is, so I have fiber in 4 cubbies. I have hand spun in 2 with a little bit spread out because the hand spun is accumulating, guys. It's been a bumper year for spinning. I have 2 cubbies of sweater climbs right now, which is ridiculous. I need to finish my sweater so I can knit these other sweaters. And then I have 2 things, or actually then I have 3 different things of fingering weight yarn that are for like socks and shawls and that sort of thing. 1 cubby for shawls, 1 cubby for socks, and 1 cubby for wool mice and stuff, and then I have my lace cubby. That's all cubbies. So, what would it be? So that's it's a 3x4 sort of thing. And then there's stuff precariously stacked on top, which that's where this fiber is gonna end up going, is precariously on top. Whoopsies. We'll just switch it out. So the fiber that I already have prepped for my August spin will go live down here, and other stuff will get precariously placed on top. Whatever. Like when I had it against this wall, then I could cram more fiber into the sides, but it didn't quite work. So there, I have this 8 ounces of Jacob that I got at Rhinebeck. That's 3 different natural shades of Jacob. There's a black, a brown, a gray, and a white. And now I'm imagining making the fog hat by mixing the gray and the white in different proportions so that I get my white a little bit more gray and I get my other gray like a little bit lighter. It's so exciting. Like now that I have this idea, so this is a book my mother-in-law gave me for Christmas right before I moved to San Francisco, and I'm sure that we'll go to the actual proper picture for this, though this hat keeps showing up like pretty much everywhere in here. But this is the fog hat. Makes me happy. So I don't think I want straight up, or what would it be? like, it probably would look really cool that way, but I'm really digging the idea of making it by either blending it on the drum card, another theme of my creativity, or what would it be? Or doing like a 3-ply where it's 2 of one of the other, or something like that, so that they're similar but different. But I don't know. And then these were things I ended up finding. So my nephew and my niece and nephew. Whatever. Little gingers. But yeah, no, so these are pictures that I found in the book when I pulled it out so I could show people. And that's apparently where I'm at right now. Spin for a hat. Which, as far as like reasonable projects to get their hands spun, yeah. So I don't know if that'll be like my palette cleanser project in between this bongo spin of insanity and whatever next thing I end up doing. Who knows? Life's a mystery some days. But that's where I am at right now, is I'm like looking at the stash over there, being like, ooh, I could be doing that. So, I don't know, sort of like how I've sort of settled on a plan that when I knit the spray, which I do want to do this year, I need to use a skein of handspun from Joyoti and Vilmisa lace. I haven't shown you guys that, have I? So I guess there's just a lot of vicarious knitting. But at this point, would it be, now that I made 20K for Stash Dash, like, do what I want. Doesn't matter. Oh, who knows? This coffee is not as warm and delicious anymore, which is sad. I was very excited. I found this Ethiopian Sidamo at the grocery store, and its description was all of the delicious fruit flavors, which is what Ethiopian Sidamo tastes like. Because my favorite Ethiopian Sidamo is from the Island Coffee Roasters in Richardson, Texas. It tastes like strawberries. But I'm really liking this one. This one, it's primary blueberries. And the Jersey Level one thinks I'm slightly, what would it be, pretty weird for being excited about coffee that tastes like fruit, but whatever. There's just something super happy about, what would it be, how delicious Ethiopian Sidamo is. So this may be like a second place, because I think it was like blueberries, then strawberries, then cherries, I think. And it's good. I'm really happy. So, yay. Just put that out of its misery. So, what would it be? I guess my question for you guys is, what's making you feel inspired now? Because I took a lot of this episode to talk about that. 8 minutes knitting, way more everything else. I'm like the opposite of Amy Beth, just knitting down the front, and then the rest of it's just like whatever you want. So, what would it be? I'm very curious what's making you guys excited right now, so that we can all be in like a happy, excited feedback loop. So, with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. So, take care, guys. Bye-bye.